Un altro volto conosciuto all'EMA.
Another well-known friend of EMA, Gianluca Cristoni. Welcome back to EMA and to our EMA Web TV studios, and welcome back for being here to talk about Biohabitat. What's your role here at EMA? Thank you all very much for having me again today and giving me the opportunity to tell you a story. A story made of men, seeds and plants. The agricultural world, as the world of sustainability, of greenery, it must be read and interpreted correctly. But in order to do so, you need to have the knowledge and the cultural background. But if you have different trade fair initiatives of all kinds, there are many initiatives on sustainability, landscape, territory, local agricultural products, local cuisine. Well, but in all that, we never talk about sustainability, landscape in agricultural trade fairs. And this has been our role for years. We've been focusing on multi-purpose machines at EMA Green. And we go from words to facts. We want to translate all this into visual terms and set up demos for people to test machines in a green environment. Today's theme is a bit provocative. At 11 o'clock this morning, we're going to have a meeting with the national president of Federcultura, Mr. Aldo Colonetti, a philosopher of the design world, a world that seems far away, but in fact it's not. So design plays an important role in mechanization because machines are quite beautiful. They are pleasant to look at, and people come to see these huge machines. And there's a strong link between the two worlds that cannot always speak the same language. They have their own different way of expressing themselves, and the world of agriculture is seen as something marginal, whereas it's actually the protagonist of all that, the main feature. So we are going to switch from Green Life. That was an initiative that we developed at the Triennale in Venice with a lot of important artists, including Enzo Piano, where we talked about sustainable cities. Back in 2010, I was involved in that initiative with Legambiente as a promoter and contributed to the process. And we said there can be no sustainability and no sustainable city without a sustainable territory. So since 2010 to date, what's happened? Have we achieved any results as we hoped for? Well, in the meantime, there was this interlude called COVID, and so that put everything on a halt. But in fact, we've been focusing on cultural knowledge, art initiative. So we've been able to gather attention onto the environment, which has been actually accelerated by a number of factors. Of course, I'm not getting into technical issues, but there's an environment is a reaction to things that are no longer the way they used to be. Hence, lots of initiatives like 1 million trees, the European Union, the United Nations. We have an initiative today on reforestation, and so back to agriculture and machines. So that's where completely new scenarios open up, because there are no plans. Productive activities have been slowed down by the COVID pandemic. It's taken a very long time to be delivered the machine. We have problems with plants. The same's happening with plants. So we're talking about reforestation, but then nobody is actually in charge of managing that. Plants are put down, but then nobody is taking care of them, or there are no plants to be planted. So we need to communicate all that. We need to convey the message, and also thanks to EMA, which is very useful from this viewpoint. Let me ask you a question. The most livable, the greenest cities, well, has there been any change? Have you seen any response from some municipalities? Has anything been changed? Has, more green be placed in existing cities or not? Well, the answer is yes. There's an increased awareness. We've been working with some municipalities to organize sort of emotional initiatives. We've organized something last year, and we're now working in Piazza Verde, just like across the municipal theatre, and over one night we planted 2,000 square meters of lawn, and a huge tree was placed there. And there's a political trade-off. It generates consensus. And on the one hand, this activity is taken up by politicians, and it's possible because municipalities are quite aware of the importance of putting green in the city centers. What about Italian cities? This is a very fashionable theme thanks to the vertical forest in Milan. So one would think of Sardella because, he's a well-known TV person. But when it comes to the technicalities and the actual sustainability, so the impact of maintenance or maintenance costs for the vertical forest and how many trees could have been planted into the soil. So we are sort of carried away by fads and imagery. We take them as reference points. Other countries are doing a lot in terms of a more balanced management. We need to understand what the city and the countryside are about. So we're not very far-sighted. Is that what you mean? Gianluca, unfortunately our time is up. It would be very nice to keep talking with you for hours about your work, but congratulations. Keep up the good work. I've seen you with great pleasure. So see you again at the next day. EMA, keep up the good work in agriculture brought into the city centers. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for having me.